All right, so are you ready to really sharpen those critical thinking skills? Because today we are diving deep into a topic that is absolutely essential in the digital age, navigating the world of online nutrition information
Yeah.
and avoiding all those cleverly disguised traps of misinformation.
It's like trying to find a healthy meal in a world of fast food,
Oh yeah,
isn't it? There are so many tempting options out there,
this is true.
but not all of them are good for you.
You hit the nail on the head. This chapter that you sent us from Dr. I.D. Okpombor's book, Don't Be Fooled, How to Spot Nutrition Misinformation Online,
Yes.
is so timely.
Mm-hmm.
So consider this deep dive your toolkit
Okay.
for becoming a savvy,
Yeah.
skeptical, and well-informed consumer of nutrition info.
I think we can all relate to that feeling of being bombarded with conflicting information online.
For sure.
It's enough to make anyone's head spin.
Absolutely. And the book throws out this pretty staggering statistic. There are hundreds of millions of websites dedicated to health and nutrition. Finding reliable evidence-based information can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack.
And that's precisely why Dr. Okpombor's book is so valuable.
Yeah.
It provides a framework for evaluating information and separating fact from fiction.
You know, I actually had a personal experience with this a while back.
Oh,
A friend was raving about this new miracle detox tea she found online, claimed it would boost metabolism and melt away fat.
I've heard it all.
Sound familiar?
Oh, those quick fix promises are a classic red flag.
Right.
But tell me what happened with your friend and her tea.
Well, being the skeptical soul that I am, I decided to do a little digging.
Okay.
I remember Dr. Okpombor mentioning PubMed in the book.
Yeah.
So I fired it up and searched for any scientific studies on this miracle tea. Guess what I found?
I'm betting absolutely nothing to back up those wild claims.
Bingo. It was all hype, no substance.
Wow.
Just a bunch of clever marketing and anecdotal testimonials, which we know don't hold up to scientific scrutiny.
It's amazing how persuasive those personal stories can be, even when they're not backed by evidence.
Exactly, and that's why understanding those red flags that Dr. Okpombor outlines is so crucial. They're like warning signs
Yeah,
that help us navigate through the maze of misinformation.
absolutely. And some are more obvious than others,
Yeah.
like the lose 10 pounds in 3 days,
Right.
or get ripped with this one weird trick type of claims.
Yeah.
They prey on our desire for quick fixes,
Yeah.
but real sustainable health changes just don't happen overnight.
Okay, those are pretty easy to spot.
Right.
What are some of the more subtle red flags that we might not pick up on right away?
Well, one that often slips under the radar is the use of scientific-sounding jargon without any real substance.
Oh,
It's like throwing in a bunch of fancy words to make it sound credible, even if the claims are completely unfounded.
I've seen that. It's
Yeah,
like
that-
they're trying to blind us with science, hoping we won't dig deeper.
Right. Another sneaky tactic is cherry-picking data. They might present a study that seems to support their claim,
Right.
but they conveniently leave out other studies that contradict it.
So it's like presenting a very biased view of the research to fit their narrative.
Precisely. And that's why it's so important to look at the whole picture
Yeah.
and evaluate the totality of the evidence.
Speaking of evaluating evidence, you mentioned PubMed earlier.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic resource,
Uh-huh.
but it can feel a bit overwhelming for those who aren't familiar with navigating scientific databases.
Yeah,
Any tips for our listeners on how to use PubMed effectively?
absolutely. First, don't be intimidated by the interface.
Okay.
It's actually pretty user-friendly.
Yeah.
Start by typing in your keywords just like you would with any search engine.
Oh, okay.
Then you can refine your search by using filters,
Oh.
like publication date, study type, and even language.
So if I wanted to find out more about the benefits of, say, the Mediterranean diet, I would simply type that in and see what research pops up.
Exactly. And one helpful tip is to look for review articles,
Okay.
which summarize the findings of multiple studies on a particular topic.
All right.
They can give you a good overview of the current state of the research.
Now that we know what to look for in terms of credible sources, let's shift gears a bit
Cool.
and talk about those who might not be as trustworthy as they appear. You mentioned the issue of fake credentials earlier.
Yeah.
That seems especially tricky because anyone can call themselves a nutritionist or health expert online.
Right.
How can we tell the real deal from the imposters?
That's such an important point. It's like the Wild West out there.
It is.
One of the biggest red flags is a lack of transparency.
Okay.
If someone is being vague about their qualifications or experience, it's a major warning sign.
So what are some specific questions we can ask to vet someone's credentials? I'm picturing myself interviewing a potential nutrition coach right now.
Great question. Don't be shy about asking about their education and training.
Okay.
What degrees or certifications do they hold?
Yeah.
Where do they obtain them? Are they a registered dietitian?
Okay.
A legitimate professional will be happy to provide that information.
Yeah.
And won't get defensive or evasive when asked.
And I imagine checking those credentials is crucial too.
Yes.
Are there any specific organizations or resources we can consult to verify someone's claims?
Absolutely. For registered dietitians, you can check the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics website.
Okay.
They have a directory of all registered dietitians.
Now, speaking of registered dietitians, the book really emphasizes the importance of seeking guidance from real-world experts.
Yes.
And it brings up a rather surprising point. Even doctors might not have the most up-to-date nutrition knowledge.
It's true.
Why is that?
You know, it's actually a bit of a gap in medical education. The book highlights the fact that only about 30% of medical schools in the U.S. require a separate nutrition course.
That's shocking when you consider how much nutrition impacts our overall health and well-being.
I know it is.
And that's why it's so important to recognize the role of registered dietitians as the true experts in nutrition.
Absolutely.
So, for those who might not be familiar,
Yeah.
what exactly does a registered dietitian do?
Wow.
And why are they considered the gold standard for nutrition advice?
RDs have completed extensive training and education, including a bachelor's degree in nutrition, a supervised internship, and a rigorous national exam.
Oh.
They're equipped to provide evidence-based guidance on all aspects of nutrition,
Okay.
from creating personalized meal plans to addressing specific health concerns.
It sounds like they really are the detectives of the nutrition world,
I like that.
trained to sort through all the conflicting information and guide us toward a healthier path.
Exactly. They can help us make sense of the latest research, debunk those persistent nutrition myths,
Right.
and most importantly, empower us to make informed choices about our health.
This has been so insightful already.
It has.
We've covered so much ground in such a short time.
I know, it's amazing what we can get through.
We have. But we've just scratched the surface.
Right.
There's still so much more to uncover about navigating the world of online nutrition information.
Definitely.
Welcome back. We're in the midst of unpacking Dr. Okpombor's insights on how to spot nutrition misinformation online. We've talked about the sheer volume of information out there, the importance of credible sources like PubMed, the crucial role of registered dietitians.
It's like we're building a mental toolkit equipped with all the right gadgets to analyze and evaluate the information we encounter.
Exactly. And speaking of tools, Dr. Okpombor provides a really helpful list of red flags in his book. Think of it as a cheat sheet for spotting nutrition quackery.
I love that analogy. It's like having a radar system that beeps loudly whenever we come across something suspicious.
Okay, let's test out our radar. First up on the list is unrealistic promises. We touched on this earlier with the lose 10 pounds in 3 days type of claims. It seems so obvious, yet so many people still fall for these quick fix traps.
It's because they tap into our desire for instant gratification. We live in a world where we expect everything to happen quickly and effortlessly. And that mindset often spills over into our health goals.
It's like that famous quote, "A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in." We need to embrace the idea that real health transformations take time and consistent effort.
Well said. And that ties into another big red flag: lack of scientific backing. Whenever you come across a bold health claim, ask yourself, where's the evidence?
Instead of solid research, you often find those glowing testimonials from people who claim to have achieved miraculous results. I remember falling for those myself, especially in my younger, more impressionable year.
We've all been there. But it's important to remember that anecdotes are not scientific proof. What works for one person may not work for another, and those personal stories don't account for individual differences or other contributing factors.
Dr. Okpombor also warns us about those who attack conventional medicine as part of their sales pitch. They often try to create a sense of fear and distrust towards doctors and scientists, painting them as part of a conspiracy to keep us sick.
It's a classic tactic to undermine established knowledge and position themselves as having some exclusive secret solution. They might claim that doctors don't want you to know about this, or that the medical establishment is trying to suppress this information.
It plays into the idea that there's a natural way to heal everything, and that conventional medicine is somehow harmful or ineffective.
Right, and it can be especially dangerous for people who are dealing with serious health conditions. It's crucial to remember that conventional medicine is based on years of rigorous research and scientific evidence. While there's always room for improvement and new discoveries, dismissing the entire system outright is reckless and potentially harmful.
Another red flag that Dr. Okpombor highlights is the emphasis on personal beliefs and opinions rather than scientific facts. The "I believe this works, so it must be true" kind of logic.
It's a seductive trap, because we all want to believe that our intuition and personal experiences are valid. But when it comes to health and nutrition, we need to rely on evidence, not just gut feelings.
It's like that old saying, what gets us into trouble is not what we don't know. It's what we know for sure that just ain't so. We have to be willing to challenge our assumptions and be open to new information, even if it contradicts what we thought we knew.
The scientific method is designed to be self-correcting, which means that our understanding of nutrition is constantly evolving as new research emerges. What we thought was true 5 years ago might be outdated today.
So it's not about being rigid in our beliefs, but rather being open to learning and adapting as new information becomes available.
Exactly. Flexibility and a willingness to change our minds based on evidence are key to staying informed and making healthy choices.
Dr. Okpombor also cautions us about claims that sound too good to be true. If something promises to magically solve all your health problems or drastically change your body in a short amount of time, that's a major red flag.
It's like that saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. When it comes to our health, there are rarely any quick fixes or miracle cures. Sustainable health and wellness require a holistic approach that takes into account our individual needs, lifestyles, and goals.
We also need to be aware of the use of fake credentials, something we touched upon earlier. It's easy to get caught up in fancy titles and certifications without realizing that some of them hold little to no weight.
It's like that line from The Wizard of Oz, "Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain." We need to look behind the facade and verify the legitimacy of someone's credentials before we entrust them with our health.
Are there any specific tactics or strategies we can use to do that, besides asking direct questions about their education and training, of course?
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to do a little online sleuthing. Search for their name and credentials on reputable websites like the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics or the Commission on Dietetic Registration. If they're claiming to be an RD, they should be listed on those directories.
And if they're not, that's a pretty clear sign that something's fishy.
Exactly. Another helpful tip is to look for red flags in their online presence. Do their website or social media profiles seem overly promotional or salesy? Are they constantly pushing products or supplements? Are they making exaggerated claims or promises?
Those are all excellent points. It's like building a case file, gathering evidence to determine someone's credibility.
And remember, you have the right to ask for clarification or further information. A legitimate professional will be transparent and open to answering your questions.
Dr. Okpombor also warns about sources that promote products or services while providing nutrition information. This can create a conflict of interest and raise questions about the objectivity of the advice being given.
It's like getting financial advice from someone who's trying to sell you a particular investment. It's crucial to be aware of any potential biases and consider the source's motivations.
So if someone is recommending a specific supplement or diet plan while also profiting from its sale, we should be extra cautious about their advice.
Exactly. It doesn't necessarily mean their advice is wrong, but it's important to be aware of the potential conflict of interest and seek out unbiased information from other sources.
And finally, we need to check the date of any information we find online. Nutrition science is constantly evolving, and outdated information can be misleading or even harmful.
It's like relying on an old map to navigate a city that's undergone major renovations.
Yeah.
You might end up lost or going in circles. Always make sure the information you're using is current and reflects the latest scientific understanding. Look for sources that are regularly updated and cite their sources.
So we've covered a lot of ground in terms of red flags and how to be discerning consumers of nutrition information. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about those trustworthy sources we mentioned earlier. Where can our listener turn to find reliable information online?
One of the first places I always recommend is the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics website, eatright.org. It's a fantastic resource for evidence-based information on a wide range of nutrition topics, written in a clear and accessible way.
I've checked it out myself, and I love how they have everything from recipes and meal planning tips to articles on specific health conditions and nutrition needs. It's like a one-stop shop for all things nutrition.
Exactly. And they also have a Find an Expert feature where you can search for registered dietitians in your area.
Speaking of government agencies, the National Institutes of Health, NIH website, nii.gov, is another treasure trove of reliable information. They have dedicated sections for various health topics, including nutrition with evidence-based guidelines and recommendations.
And don't forget about the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, website, cdc.gov. They have a wealth of information on preventing and managing chronic diseases, including nutrition tips and healthy recipes.
What I appreciate about these government websites is that they're not trying to sell you anything. Their primary goal is to provide accurate and up-to-date information based on the latest scientific research.
Absolutely. And another valuable resource is PubMed, which we discussed earlier. It's a fantastic tool for those who want to delve deeper into the research and read the original studies themselves.
I know it can feel a little daunting for those who aren't used to navigating scientific databases, but with a little practice, it becomes much easier, and the rewards are well worth the effort.
I agree. There's something incredibly empowering about being able to access and understand the research that informs our health choices.
So we've got a great toolkit of resources to guide us in our quest for reliable nutrition information. But let's not forget about the importance of seeking guidance from real-world experts. The book emphasizes the unique role of registered dietitians in navigating this complex landscape. Let's dive deeper into their world and explore the value they bring to the table.
I'm excited to talk about RDs. They're truly the unsung heroes of the nutrition world.
Let's unveil their superpowers. We're back and, ready to continue our deep dive into the world of online nutrition information. We've talked about red flags, credible sources, and now it's time to really shine the spotlight on the real-world experts, those registered dietitians who can help us make sense of it all.
I'm so glad we're talking about RDs. They bring a level of expertise and personalized guidance that you just can't get from a website or a social media influencer.
So for those who might not be familiar, let's just break it down. What exactly is a registered dietitian, and what makes them the gold standard in the nutrition world?
A registered dietitian, or RD, is a food and nutrition expert who has met specific academic and professional requirements,
Okay.
including a bachelor's degree in nutrition, a supervised internship, and passing a national exam.
Wow.
They're qualified to provide evidence-based advice on all aspects of food and nutrition,
Okay.
from meal planning to managing specific health conditions.
It's like they've gone through rigorous detective training,
Right.
to sift through all the conflicting information out there and help us find the truth about what really nourishes our bodies.
That's a great analogy. And unlike some of those self-proclaimed nutrition gurus we see online, RDs are bound by a code of ethics and practice standards that ensure they're providing safe and effective advice.
That's reassuring. I've definitely encountered some questionable advice online, so knowing that there are qualified professionals out there who are held to a higher standard gives me peace of mind.
Absolutely. And one of the things that sets RDs apart is their ability to provide personalized guidance.
Okay.
They take into account your individual needs, preferences, and goals to create a plan that works for you.
So it's not just about following a generic diet plan you find online, but rather about working with someone who can help you create a sustainable approach to healthy eating that fits your lifestyle.
Exactly. They can help you navigate those tricky food choices, decode nutrition labels, and even provide support and motivation along the way.
I'm curious, have you ever worked with clients who were initially hesitant to seek guidance from an RD because they felt like they could just figure it all out on their own using online resources?
Oh, absolutely. And I understand where they're coming from. We live in an age where information is readily available at our fingertips.
Right.
So it's tempting to think we could just DIY our way to health. But what often happens is that people get overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information, much of which is conflicting or just plain wrong.
I know, I've fallen down that rabbit hole myself.
Right.
You start researching one thing, and then you end up clicking through endless articles and videos, only to feel more confused than you were before.
And that's where an RD can be such a valuable asset. They can cut through the noise, provide clarity and guidance, and help you prioritize the information that's most relevant to your needs.
It's like having a trusted guide in a world that can feel overwhelming and confusing at times. Speaking of feeling overwhelmed, one of the biggest challenges with online nutrition information is the sheer volume of it. It's like drinking from a fire hose. How can we filter through all the noise and focus on what's truly important?
That's a great question. And the book offers some really practical tips for managing that information overload. First, start by identifying your goals. What are you hoping to achieve? Are you looking to lose weight, improve your energy levels, manage a health condition, or simply learn more about healthy eating?
Having a clear goal in mind will help you narrow your search and focus on information that's relevant to your needs. It's like having a compass to guide you through the vast landscape of nutrition advice.
Exactly. Once you know what you're looking for, be selective about the sources you choose. Stick with websites and publications that are known for their credibility and accuracy, like the ones we discussed earlier.
And don't be afraid to be a critical reader. Question claims, look for evidence, and be wary of sources that seem too good to be true or that promote a one-size-fits-all approach.
Remember, nutrition is a complex science, and there's no magic bullet.
Right.
What works for one person may not work for another.
And it's important to remember that our individual needs can change over time, depending on our age, health status, and lifestyle. What worked for us in our 20s might not be the best approach in our 40s or 50s.
Absolutely. It's all about adapting our approach as we go through different stages of life.
Another helpful tip from the book is to focus on the big picture, rather than getting caught up in the minutia of specific nutrients or food groups.
Instead of obsessing over whether you're getting enough of this vitamin or that mineral, focus on creating a balanced and varied diet that includes plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fats.
That sounds much less stressful than trying to track every single nutrient. It's about creating a sustainable way of eating that nourishes our bodies and supports our overall health.
Exactly. It's about finding a way of eating that you can enjoy and that you can stick with for the long haul.
The book also reminds us that nutrition isn't just about what we eat, but also about our relationship with food. It encourages us to pay attention to our hunger cues, savor our meals, and practice mindful eating.
That's so important. It's not just about the fuel we put into our bodies, but also about the experience of eating and how it makes us feel.
And it's about being kind to ourselves and not getting caught up in perfectionism. We all make mistakes with our diets from time to time, and that's okay. It's about progress, not perfection.
Absolutely. It's about creating a healthy and sustainable relationship with food that nourishes our bodies and minds.
This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. We've covered so much ground, from spotting misinformation to finding credible sources, and from understanding the role of registered dietitians to developing a healthy relationship with food. What are some key takeaways that our listener can walk away with?
First and foremost, be a critical consumer of information. Don't believe everything you read online. Question claims, verify credentials, and seek out evidence-based information from reputable sources.
And remember, your health is worth investing in. If you're struggling with nutrition or have specific concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to a qualified healthcare professional like a registered dietitian.
Absolutely. They can provide personalized guidance and support to help you achieve your health goals.
And finally, be patient with yourself. Creating a healthy lifestyle is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs along the way, but with the right knowledge and support, you can achieve your goals and thrive. So if you could ask a registered dietitian one question about your health and diet, what would it be? Keep learning, keep questioning, and stay curious about nutrition.
That's a fantastic question to end on. It's a great reminder that we're all on this journey together and there's always more to learn.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and stay hungry for knowledge.